What is going on, guys? We are back playing some more Enigmatica 6, and today we're going to be setting up a fission reactor. So it has been ages since I've messed around with Mekanism, especially the late game stuff where you're setting up a ton of different machines just like we have right over here pretty much. And I have to say, before we get into anything else, that this has given me such a great appreciation for this muffler mod right here. I know early on in this series, I said it was super nice to have, but oh my gosh, it is a lifesaver when I was setting all of these up, because as you probably saw in those intro clips, before I actually used the muffler, these things were just destroying my ears. They are so loud, which is accurate to kind of a factory setting, honestly, but they're so loud, it is so unbearable to deal with. And unless I wanted to make like 100+ muffler upgrades to go along with all the other upgrades that these need, well, then I was kind of out of luck and my ears were just going to have a bad time. But we have the muffler add-on, and that means that everything is nice and silent and great, and it's all good. We can just listen to my footsteps on the grass here. But now to get into the actual stuff today. So the setup that we're going to be doing today is a fission reactor, if that wasn't given away by my intro, but there are some prerequisites that come along with setting that up. And so this is the main one right here. And if you've never messed around with late game Mekanism really, then this probably just looks like an amalgam of machines and just disgustingness, and it's just complicated and looks bad. But really, this is the production of fissile fuel. And I'll say it is rough. It's probably about 10 different steps from start to finish, where, you know, some of these steps are using items to make things like sulfur dioxide here. We also have one over here with yellow cake uranium. Some of them are going to be combining different chemicals and gases, more combinations of those. Some are just going to be using the electrolytic separator, more combinations. This one is combining fluorite with sulfuric acid, and then finally it ends in the isotopic centrifuge to make fissile fuel. So overall, a very lengthy process, which is why I wanted to do most of it off camera, but I figured I'd catch a little bit of it as the intro in case you guys were interested in how this is set up using the XNet system right here. So not crazy complicated, but we've got everything set pretty much automated to pull from our refined storage system. We got the interface here set to bring all these in, automatically process them in the base because the uranium needs to be put in an enrichment chamber. The sulfur dust needs to come obviously from the sulfur, which we have a ton of, but also needs to be processed. And then the fluorite really just doesn't need anything. It's just fluorite. But that is where we're starting off today. So these are all completed, good to go. And we have 3 of them. I can expand this if I need to, but the reason we have 3 is because today I'm looking to set up a pretty big fission reactor. And so we need the fissile fuel to support that. Otherwise, it's pretty much pointless. Obviously, bigger fission reactor at the same burn rate will burn at a lower temperature, but that really shouldn't be too much of a concern unless you get to be burning really crazy amounts at very small reactors. So if we're not pushing it to the limits, then that doesn't matter. So we're going to take advantage of the big reactor to burn big amounts of fissile fuel. So I'm hoping this will be enough for us today. Keyword there, hoping. Very much so hoping. And it's occurring to me now that I might have forgotten upgrades for some of these, so we might need to make some more of these. But either way, we need to jump into building the reactor itself, because that's going to be the key part of today's episode. It's going to be going right here. But when it comes to building a big reactor, there's one thing that you need. Well, a lot of things, but it's going to be a lot of building blocks that make up that reactor. And so I've got pretty much all the critical ones up here: the reactor glass, casing, ports, control rod assemblies, and fission fuel assemblies. And I need to go get those over at the base because we got a lot of crafting to do. So we're going to head back to the base and head down to set up some nice patterns in our refined storage auto crafting. So if we come over here, we can see that if we look at the recipes for these, it requires a couple things. And a lot of these are going to require very basic things like, you know, some ingots here and there. Again, more ingots here again, and a couple other sort of sub crafting recipes. But for the most part, we already have these. So we've got elite control circuits ready to go. We've got steel casings ready to go. I think we have enriched iron. We've got glass. So for the most part, we just need to create these actual recipes for these, and all the sub recipes that go into them should already be done. I don't know if I have a chemical tank done yet, but for the most part, they should be good to go. So we'll start out with the reactor glass. We'll just put this in here, and we're not going to do exact, right? Because this is just a crafting recipe, but we're not going to check exact because last time I did that, totally screwed it up. So we'll grab this out here and we'll make sure that this actually works. So again, not exact, another crafting one, another crafting one, and I think all of these are crafting, and then the sub ones are processing. Did we do the ports? Yep, so we got these. So the last one is just this right here. So we got this, and then the one I'm thinking we don't have is this one right here. So these should all be good to get thrown right in over here. And if we have one of these already, do we? We do. Okay. Well, then I guess we don't need this one. How do you clear it? Shift right click. There we go. Okay. So I'm learning. I learned how to clear it. But now we should be good to come in here and request a bunch of these. And the only reason I'm including this on camera is I know a lot of people get confused about like crafting and stuff and setups like this. So I like to include at least some of this, but it's also because it's going to be pretty funny. I don't know how many we're going to need for each of these. I'm being quite honest here because I don't have a specific size in mind for the setup. With that said though, it's going to be big. And so if we come in here and we just like, this is really stupid, but we'll just request that many and we're just going to hope that that's right. So they should be running through there now in what's probably going to be a relatively lengthy crafting process. But so we've requested the casing here, and then we need to get some glass. We're going to request a bunch of glass too. We'll request probably 64 ports. Now I know that sounds really dumb, but the way we're going to be setting this up today is going to need more than the actual just regular 4 ports, I believe. And so we're kind of going to mix it up and do something a little bit different than I did before. But these are taking a while. Is there something that's holding these up? Is it the steel dust? The machine is not accepting items. Is it because it's processing other stuff? Yeah, so it's doing the... Okay, well, let's take a look over here. Yeah, it's a little bit busy with enriching the iron, so we'll let this process run. I think it's so funny how many processes are running automated in this system at any given time now, where we've got the enriching stuff, we're processing the chunks in here, stuff's going to come over from the Fissile fuel setup to now produce things in here at any given time. So I think it's pretty interesting to watch this all function, but that should be pretty much all the stuff that we need for this setup, except we are also going to need, and I already have these crafted, these sinks right here. So before I cut from, all the crafting and just let that kind of finish, I do want to say that these sinks are critical to making this setup, and it makes it so much easier. And I have not gotten to experience making a fission reactor setup with these sinks yet, but I'm excited to try it out today because before it required me to do all this different complicated math to make a closed loop steady state system, which was fun, but it's going to be a lot easier like this. So we already got these crafted because I have an abundance of sinks crafted at any given time because they're so useful, but those are going to make life a lot easier today. So I'm going to let all this crafting finish up, get all the blocks we could possibly need, and then we can head over and spend the rest of the episode building something that's extremely dangerous and could explode on us at any minute. Okay guys, so we are back over in the Red Rock Lowlands at the Mekanism area, and if you're curious as to why this is the Mekanism area, why did I just get nauseous all of a sudden? Is there something in my backpack that I'm not supposed to be eating? Why am I nauseous all of a sudden? Okay, well that was weird way to start out the video for this clip at least, but we're over in the Red Rock Lowlands, and if you're curious why we're over here with all the Mekanism stuff, it's because I at least want to keep the reactor away from the base in case something were to happen, in case we do a horrible job today and it melts down. Now, that is what you would call a black swan event, and if you guys don't know, this is a little bit of engineering, wisdom for you guys before we get into this, so more of me rambling like I always do and just kind of standing here looking around, but a little bit of engineering wisdom for you is basically a black swan event, which is typically what leads to nuclear reactor meltdowns or a lot of the catastrophes you see in the world, is what's classified as kind of like a bunch of stuff going wrong that's so uncommon you can't plan for it, right? Like whatever happened to I can't remember the names of the worst nuclear meltdowns, but was it like Fukushima? I can't remember if that's the exact one, but where there's like an earthquake and then a tsunami hits and the backup generator also doesn't work. And so you have all three of those things happen that you can't plan for, and then you have a nuclear reactor meltdown. Those are called black swan events. I don't know where the name comes from, but that's what we're avoiding here, right? I don't think this is going to go wrong when we set it up, but if something does perchance go wrong, yes, we can have radiation upgrades in the armor, but I want to avoid that. So we're setting it up over here. Now I'm going to start planning out the base level of this. And again, I don't know how big it's going to be, but we're going to make the entire base out of fission reactor casing, and then probably the walls out of the glass. The inventory is looking real full right now of stuff. I'm hoping this is enough, but we're going to do the checkerboard pattern, as that is the efficient way to do it, so that we're going to get the exact best cooling rate of 1 as the coefficient when it comes to all the different rods. But we're going to go, so we'll have 1 here, and then 1 here, and maybe, so it'd be 1, 1, 1. There we go. So I think that should be good. So if we come around here, we can kind of plan this out if we just fill this in, and we'll see how big we want to make it based off of that. So with the checkerboard pattern, you're going to be making it, oh my gosh, did I forget to make these, the control rod assemblies and fission rod assemblies? I think I did. Okay, and after another fun little crafting extravaganza from me, I now actually have everything we need. And I'm saying that now actually, but there's probably going to be something that I totally forget that in like 5 minutes we need. So then I'll make another addendum to it and correct, and that'll be the stuff we actually need. But for now, in my current mental state, this is what I think we actually need. So I made 3 stacks of the fission fuel assemblies, and then you need 1 control rod on top of each tower of fission fuel assemblies, however tall you choose to make that. They can obviously be, 18 tall for the entire system, minus the bottom, minus the top, minus that. So 15 tall if you wanted for the fission fuel assembly. But right now, this is what I think the size is going to be for the base. And so we'd put them kind of like this, and then like this, and just go checkerboard all the way. And it should end up filling out properly. Now, I don't know if we're going to have a sufficient amount to go up as high as I want, but really every one of these that you place down is 1 millibucket per tick of fissile fuel burn rate. So if we have 192 of these, that's going to be 192 millibuckets per tick. That's a pretty high burn rate, honestly. So I don't even know if we need to place all of these down. It really can't hurt, I don't think. Because again, the larger your reactor, the more the heat will dissipate. And I know that that's kind of a weird, oops, we don't want to put that there. I know it's kind of a weird concept, but it's not a crazy amount that it alters it. But if you make a reactor that's capable of, if you make an 18 by 18 by 18 reactor and burn 1 millibucket of fissile fuel per tick, it is going to burn at a lower temperature at that same rate, making it easier to cool than one that's whatever 5 by 5 by 5. So is this going to be our top level of this? It's looking like it is. Okay, so we have a couple extra. That's totally fine, but it looks like we filled it out properly, which means we now need to put down the control rod assemblies on top of each one of these. So just slap those down all up here. And that should give us a 189 millibucket per tick potential burn rate. So now we know the height, and that's why we do those first, is because we obviously want to know the height of what we need to build up to. And then we're just going to, nope, not there, because these need to still be inside of it. So we're just going to come up here and then come all the way around. And then we're going to fill the sides. Oh, I went way too far on that side. Okay. And then we're just going to fill in the top and fill in the side. So I'm going to quickly go and do that, and then we can hop back and see at least the statistics for the formed one, and then deal with trying to get all the stuff needed to cool this thing off appropriately. Okay, so the reactor is formed. So if we take a look right now, it's fully formed here. Now I'm probably going to need to drop in, because I guess it's not in here, the connected textures mod, because this looks kind of gross without it. There's also kind of some buggy textures, and for some reason these textures always bug out on multi-blocks, and then when I reload into the world or reload these chunks, it'll be fine. I don't know why that happens. I'm not even using Optifine anymore, so I don't know what it is, but it does bug out. But either way, the reactor is formed. Obviously it's disabled, but if we go to the stats, you can see that it has the important things right here. Now, and this is one of the things, I'm trying not to make this a tutorial, but I always like to point this out. A lot of people are like, why would you do a checkerboard pattern? Boil efficiency, right? Okay, that is going to eventually go down if you do not space these out properly, the fuel rods. So the amount of cooling that's going to be required for the same burn rate will be increased if you do not have the boil efficiency coefficient of 1. So this is basically means that they're spaced out properly. So then we have the surface area and everything and the heat capacity. So that's all fine. Really, the critical part is the burn rate. And I guess I kind of undersold what it would be. I thought it was going to be, did I miss out? Oh, there's a whole stack left. I could have gone way higher. Whoops. I only put down 2 stacks. Okay. Well, either way, this should be fine for now. I can always scale it up later. This is a decent size reactor regardless. If you're able to consistently run this at 125 millibuckets per tick, I would say that's pretty impressive. Because eventually you're going to run, maybe you can produce the fissile fuel fast enough, but typically people will then run out of the yellow cake uranium, which comes from the uranium ingots. So either way, there's going to be some bottleneck somewhere. We can obviously go higher eventually, so I may raise this off camera, but the reason that I want to set this so high is because I want antimatter. Now, antimatter is important because it's going to allow us to do a lot of things. Honestly, if you wanted to make the mecha suit and get the creative flight upgrades, you'd need antimatter for that. There's a couple other things you can use it for, but I've also been told that you can fully charge infinity tools to their highest tier using antimatter. So if we want to do that before the end of the series for any type of infinity tool, just for fun, just to say it's done, especially I wonder if we can charge the infinity nuke as a way to end the series and see how cool this thing is, then we need antimatter. And so we need at least 1 pellet of it, which means we need a lot of nuclear waste, because I can't remember the conversion rates, but it's like something like 10 million millibuckets or something to 1 antimatter pellet or something like that. And so every time you want to make nuclear waste, you need to expend fissile fuel, because there is a direct correlation between the amount of fissile fuel you expend through burning it and the amount of nuclear waste that you produce. Now, obviously, we got to be really careful about the nuclear waste when we're dealing with it, and we're probably not going to deal with that in today's episode, but I'll probably deal with it either off camera or when we're getting all the polonium and plutonium set up and stuff like that. Ideally, I'd want to hop back in an episode where we work on this in the future and just go straight to the SPS and get our antimatter, but we'll have to wait and see. Either way, I'll probably set up the turbine and stuff in a different episode for power generation and all that. For now, though, we need to get the water pumping in here. And so what we're going to do is put down our ports. And so we need to put down a couple different kinds. So we're going to put down 1 port over here, and let's grab out our configurator. So we have a couple options here. We have the waste output port. We have the coolant output port. We have the input port, and that's it. So we're going to have over here the waste output, and then we can also do over here the coolant output. So let's do the waste output here, the coolant output here, and then the input is going to be on the bottom, I think, because this is a trick I've seen other people do. Namely, I've seen Lash do this trick. So if we come down here and just kind of clear out this area a little bit using the sinks, they do a checkerboard pattern and just set up the sink to dump a ton of water in here. So I'm going to try and line it up with the checkerboard pattern that we have currently for the rods in there. And so we'll put the ports down there. So we'll clear out this area too. And I don't know how many we're going to need, but might as well overload it to make sure we never have an issue. So we're going to do ports like this right here, and this should be the last one over here. And then we'll put them right here, here, and here. And I'm hoping you'll kind of understand, if you've never seen Lash, I know a lot of you have, you'll understand what I'm doing with this. And this should ideally maximize the amount of water that we are able to get in here. So let's start out with that. And you know what? No, we're going to do another row. The main issue is I need to make at least like 1 place to dispose of my nuclear waste in a bucket first, mainly because if we don't, we're not going to be able to run this for very long, I don't think, before we run into an issue. But we're going to then put down sinks around here, and we're going to pull from those using our ultimate mechanical pipes and push into these. So if we put one like right here, then we can do this, this, and this, and we can do another one over here and do that, and that. And then we can do one right here. And I was trying to make sure we get all of these covered, kind of backing myself into a corner here. I guess there's some over here that then would get covered by that. So we would put one there, do that, and one here. Wait, what? So that one would cover that one right there. Okay, and then this one right here would be kind of the same that we had over there. So then we would have another one right here that would cover that one and that one. So, oh my gosh, we're not going to be able to walk around in here really easily. So now what we need to do is set the configurator to pull from these, and this should pull at a very high rate into here. And so this allows us to avoid, because of just how fast you can pull from the sink as an infinite water source using these pipes, this allows us to avoid having a closed loop, steady state system. Now, that sounds probably like a lot of gibberish to a bunch of you. It's more engineering jargon. I like throwing those in the videos though, because look, if you're someone in engineering, you'll get a kick out of it. And if you're not, and you're younger and you're thinking about going into it, maybe it sounds cool and you want to learn. Either way though, what that means is basically that closed loop, you are only going to be recycling stuff from your system. Steady state means it's going to be consistently operating at the same stuff like temperature, pressure, flow rate, all of that indefinitely. So it's sitting at the same flow rate and everything. What we did before in my Surviving with Mekanism series was basically you put in all the water that you need for coolant and then you recycle that. And so you were able to condense it in the turbine from steam and pump it back, and your system is indefinitely self-sufficient. This system, that's not important, because here we have the sink. Now, in the Mekanism series, the problem was we were not able to get water in here fast enough to just completely disregard the need for recycling it. Here, that's not the case. We can disregard the need to recycle it because these are so powerful. So what we can do is get outside now, and I should probably fill that in and clean it up down there. But for now, we should be good. You can see it's completely filled up with water here. And if we were to start hooking up the fissile fuel here to input, and we need to put in a port over here, and we can just do it right here. Is this in the middle? If it's not, it's going to bother me. It is. Wow. It lined up perfectly. So this will be the input for the for the fissile fuel. Then we can just hook all of these up, and we're going to need a different pipe for these, I believe, right? The fissile fuel is a pressurized tube, I think, maybe. I can't remember. I think so. It should be. Where is it? Gases, yeah, it's got to be gases. So we want to output on the right. This one, same thing, output on the right. And is this on, it's not on auto eject. Nope, that was for items though. Gases is on auto eject. Okay. And that's so weird. So it has auto eject on one and not on the other. Interesting. Okay. Well, we'll put these here, and okay, so this is filled up. It doesn't show until we hit shift. So it's filled up with fissile fuel. Nice. So then we can just kind of bring these like this, connect them up here, and it's going to bother me that these are then connected. So let's see about this. What direction is this that we are currently facing? Does it tell me? North. Haha. So this is, get rid of the north one. Look at that. That's so nice. The pneumatic armor gives us our nice little direction that we're facing. So now there's fissile fuel in here. Clearly these need speed upgrades. So I kind of got to deal with that right now because this is going to be a limiting factor. So we can just kind of click in all of our speed upgrades here. I requested more in the system. So let's get these back in here and put all the upgrades in, and let's see the rate at which we are bringing stuff in here. So I've got speed upgrades. I've got energy upgrades. Really, I'm only concerned with the speed right now. I do believe this needs speed. This needs speed upgrades. Does this one have it yet? So the rest of these have it, but those three need them. So we got to put speed upgrades in those on each of these machines. And then we got to do energy upgrades for the rest, but I'm not going to worry again about the energy upgrades right now. So speed upgrades in that one already taken care of, speed in there. And then we're going to be too short. Oh my gosh, we're going to be too short. Wow. That's unfortunate. Okay. So we'll have to make 2 more of those speed upgrades. Make 2 of those for me. Can we finish that? There we go. Okay. So we got 2. So that should finish it out right here. And now we can see the rate that fissile fuel is coming in at. So I don't think we're going to be able to support the burn rate in here. That's the maximum one, but it should be okay, at least at like a semi-decent burn rate. And so I'm going to sleep, and then we need to deal with one additional thing, and then we are good to go. And the last thing that we got to deal with is if we don't care, obviously we should be able to leave the waste in here for a little bit. But if we don't care about the steam that we're going to be getting from this for now, we need to ditch it. So I think we can ditch it in a trash can. So we have liquid trash can, energy, ultimate trash can. That combines all of these. Does the liquid... Oh, I guess that's... I would rather be called fluid. Can we ditch it in there? Maybe I just make the ultimate trash can instead, just to be safe. So we make a regular item trash can. We make a liquid trash can. We make an energy trash can. Please tell me that this can then ditch it. There's no gas trash can, which is concerning to me right now. So if we put this out, and it should be considered a gas, so we need to grab out our ultimate pipe, and we just want to make sure it doesn't melt down, because that's what would happen if it backs up with steam. So we'll get our pressurized one, and then worst case, we're going to have our mechanical one here. It's been a while since I played with Mekanism, but we'll put it into this trash can, and we will see what happens here. I think it should automatically output. If we set this to a low burn rate, let's set it to 1. If we activate this, so it starts heating up, the nuclear waste is coming out, the heated coolant is ditching in here, okay, so it's definitely dumping it, which is good. Now let's see how high we can go up on this. So 25, let's see. So the heat will go up. Wow, so we do not have nearly enough coolant to support that. So we need to ditch. Okay. Wow. So I really need to up down here the amount of these that we have if we want to support that. Okay. And then we also probably should still recycle some of the condensed steam from whatever turbine I eventually set up. What rate can we even support right now? Let's see, 15. Can we support 15 in here? Yes, okay. So we can support 15. Can we support 18? Okay, so we can support 18. Right? Yep. Can we support 20? No, so 20 is where we hit it. So can we support 19? No. But we can support 18. So it's still going down. I've definitely had this issue before when messing around in Mekanism. There we go. So now it's going back up. So we can at least support 17. Okay, so that's going to require me to set up a fair bit more. I love that you can see the visuals on it. A fair bit more coolant input being put in here, whether it's through more of those on the bottom or if that's really actually inefficient and I just need to make the industrial turbine and pipe it back in and make the closed loop steady state system, then that's what I will do. But that is looking like it's going to be it for our fission reactor setup today, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed today's episode and you're looking forward to the SPS episode, the supercritical phase shifter episode, because I know everyone loves Mekanism. I know I've held off on doing it in this series for a long time because we've done it a lot on this channel before, but it's going to be a fun one, I think, to mess around with, and then eventually we'll use that to power up a nuke to blow things up with. So of course it's all well and good, but hopefully you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you did, be sure to subscribe so you never miss out on a future one as they come out every Monday and Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I will talk to you guys later. Oh my gosh, it's done. It's all finally done, all 3 setups, and it's so loud. Oh my god.